And welcome to Saber Broadcast Network. I'm Cooper Naylor, and I am glad that you have joined us here today because we've got a lot to get into. So, as you can see on the thumbnail, we're going to talk about Bill Belichick. He's got, crazy enough to say, but North Carolina has some interest in Bill Belichick. So, we'll get into that. Also, like I said, we're going to pick some bowl games, but we got to talk about some other coaching hires as well, such as Brian Harsin and Barry Odom. And of course, there's a lot more, but for sake of this video, we're just going to talk about those three coaches and then pick some ball games. So, first, let's start out by talking about Bill Belichick. Now, he has not formally taken the job with North Carolina yet. He has been offered the head coaching position. So, what is my thoughts on this? Um, First of all, I'll say this about Bill Belichick. Yes, he is in his early 70s, so he wouldn't be there. I mean, you wouldn't think he'd be there very long at all. Um, but if you're talking about a guy who knows the NFL, who could really, give your team a sense of, okay, we want to go like I'm a player and I want to go to the NFL. Why not get the greatest coach to ever do it in the NFL who's won Super Bowls? He knows what it takes to win. So if you're North Carolina, why not go get that guy? Just like this is a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity to go get a guy who has won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. That is just crazy if we wanna think about it. So, I I mean, it is going to be interesting to see how, everything stacks up when all is said and done, but I would say if Bill Belichick takes the job, North Carolina, I think, gets a good coach. Now, one of the stipulations that Bill Belichick has set for North Carolina is that if he becomes a head coach, he wants his son to be coach in the waiting. So basically, what that means is once Bill is done coaching, his son Steven would become head coach in North Carolina. That part, if you're North Carolina, that is a little bit more sticky, I guess is a good word to say, because you don't know if you want to go down that road. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, you got a chance to go get Bill Belichick. He said that his program, he is going to run it almost like an NFL operation there, there in Chapel Hill. He's going to have new nutrition programs. He's going to train these guys. He's going to train them what is going to be the best possible way to get to the NFL, and he's going to do it. Now, of course, you know Bill Belichick. He's going to be competing for a championship. He wants a championship. But to think about a guy who could potentially win 6 Super Bowls in the NFL and then come to college and coach. And he even said this, the way that college ball is going is it fits the NFL model a lot more. And I mean, I can't disagree with him on that because it is a lot like an NFL model. So, let's not sit up here and think that college is totally different. No, today's college ball is basically like the JV of NFL or developmental league or whatever you want to call it. It's just a mini version of the NFL. And so, Belichick going to North Carolina, I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being true that he takes a job. I wouldn't be shocked. I think it'll be great for North Carolina, although you won't get them very long. I think it'd be a great opportunity. I mean, you had Mac Brown for what, 7 years? And he was old when you got him. So, um, but of course, things didn't work out completely as they wanted it. And really, the problem with Mac Brown is he wouldn't just leave. He had like he wanted to go out his way, but I mean, he never would retire. So I mean, they just fired him, which you can't blame him. So, of course, it'll be interesting to see if Belichick becomes a head coach of North Carolina. Um, like I said before, I think it'd be great for North Carolina. You're getting maybe the greatest NFL coach of all time. So, um, yeah, very interesting stuff going down in Chapel Hill. All right, let's talk about another coach that has this guy's gotten hired, but let's talk about this. Former Auburn and Boise State head coach Brian Harsin has a new job. He will be the offensive coordinator at Cal. What's my initial response, like initial thoughts on this? Well, I always felt that he was never given much of a shot when it came to going to Auburn. You got to think about this, okay? He was coaching at Boise State, and a team like Auburn hires him. Think about this, okay? He goes from like I said, he goes from Boise State to Auburn. That is a huge jump. You're going from being a coach at a Mountain West school where you, Boise State, with all the players you're able to go get, you're going to be favored in your conference most of those games. To you're going to Auburn where you're not the favorite anymore. You got to figure out, okay, how do I recruit in the SEC? How do I coach in the SEC? What is the management of the game? And so Auburn fans, in my opinion, did not give him much of a chance. And I felt like it was wrong the way Auburn fans did him because he was there for he was there like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. They never gave him a shot. And that's the problem I have with Auburn is they just never gave him a chance. And then Hugh Freeze, they're just going to sit there and be like, oh, we can't. I mean, they don't like him, but I mean, they're not firing him yet. And it's like, what's the difference between Hugh Freeze and Brian Harsin? Go look at the records. In the same span as Brian Harsin was head coach of Auburn, I believe Hugh Freeze, his record is actually worse than Brian Harsin's. But you were all upset about Brian Harsin. I mean, come on, Auburn fans. Either way, um, but that's all about my tangent with Auburn. But Cal, I think, is getting a really good coach right here. A guy who I hope does a really good job at Cal because I think, I mean, first off, you look at Cal, they are not like a big time school as far as when it comes to college football. So you're playing in the ACC. You got Brian Harsin. What can you do to elevate your team and possibly get to that ACC championship game and try to get a spot to the playoff next year? I think there's a world where if you get the right pieces in place, Cal is going to be really interesting. So, I would just say this. I'm going to wait and see how he does in his first year. I think Cal's got a great coach right here. And he did good at Boise State. Go back and look. It's not like he was a terrible coach. No, he did good at Boise State. It's just Auburn never gave him a chance. So we'll just have to wait and see how that all turns out for Brian Harsin. And then the last guy to talk about is Barry Odom. Now, if you remember, I believe, and you can correct me, I believe he was the head coach of Missouri for a little bit. And that stint didn't go well. I think he got fired, and then he became like defensive coordinator at Arkansas, I think the way the story went. And then he was offered the head coaching job at UNLV. And of course, this year you saw how good they did. I mean, they got to the Mountain West championship game. They went on the road to beat Kansas, which, I mean, for UNLV, that's a big win, especially at the time, because we thought Kansas was a really good team at the time. And so fast forward to now, Purdue has hired Barry Odom. What do I think about this hire? Well, first off, I think Barry Odom is jumping at the opportunity to go coach, like be a head coach in a at a Power 4 school. I mean, that's going to be hard to turn down. Power 4 school, you know, head coaching position. I mean, that's hard to turn down. I think personally, Purdue is a great place to go because, in my opinion, I don't know if they really have a high expectation of winning. So it's like, okay, I can take my time, build my team, make them a lot better, and then find a way to potentially make it look so good, I could potentially get another job. I mean, the way I see Barry Odom as far as his head coaching style is a lot like Brett Bielema in the sense of, yeah, I didn't work out in the SEC, but I can go to the Big Ten and it'll work perfect. So I think it's a great job for Barry Odom. He deserved it after the way UNLV played this season. Um, he's a great defensive mind. I think Purdue got a great coach right here in Barry Odom, and I'm happy for him. I just hope that he does a great job up there at Purdue. So gonna be a lot of it's gonna be exciting to see what happens for the Boilermakers this coming season. All right, now for the second main topic of today's video, let's go and pick some bowl games. So here you go. ESPN Capital One Bowl Mania is what I am doing today. So as you can see, I'm going to go through and pick these bowl games. And I'll give you a little bit of reasoning, but I'm going to do the first 12, and my light decided to go off on me. So, okay, we'll be fine without light. It's not that big of a deal. Either way, let's go and pick. Now I'll go ahead and put you just full screen so you can see just see where I'm gonna pick. All right. So first you have the Cricket Celebration Bowl. This is the SWAC champion Jackson State versus I think it's MEAC champion South Carolina State. Jackson State, I think this is their third Celebration Bowl in 4 years. So they're not, they've been here before in Atlanta to play this bowl game. South Carolina State, same thing. They've been here. They know what it's like to play in the Celebration Bowl. Personally speaking, I can't really. It is hard for me to choose this because I haven't watched a lot of FCS football this season. But I'll say this: I mean, I'm going to go with my gut here. I think South Carolina State wins this football game. So we'll wait and see what happens. All right. The IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. Who wins this matchup? Okay. You got South Alabama. You got Western Michigan. This is being played in Montgomery. So not far from Mobile, where South Alabama resides. It's almost like a de facto home game, if you want to think about it that way, for South Alabama. And then Western Michigan's got quite a travel here. South Alabama, their offense, from the little bit I saw this season, their offense was phenomenal at times. Other times it wasn't. So, personally speaking, I'm going to go South Alabama. I think that they have the edge in this game. All right. Then you got the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, Memphis and West Virginia. Now, this one, you got Memphis, who, if you remember early in the season, which this win doesn't really look that good anymore, but Memphis went on the road and took down, at the time, what was a decent Florida State team. And so Memphis, of course, they just came off a win over Tulane, which had Tulane won that game and had Tulane beat Army, potentially there could have been an argument to put Tulane in the playoff. That's just how crazy this whole thing has become. But Memphis is an interesting football team. West Virginia, now here's the question. How do they play in this ball game having, I believe they fired Neil Brown. Of course, I believe they're still looking for their head coach. Um, really interested to see how the situation's going to be handled. Um, but I feel like West Virginia, I feel like they have a lot of fight in them. I'm going to give West Virginia the edge in this game. So we got 9 more to pick, folks. All right, the Boca Raton Bowl. You got Western Kentucky, you got James Madison. Western Kentucky, of course, they played for the Conference USA Championship game, lost to Jacksonville State, and I mean they lost. They got their butts kicked in that game. And then you got James Madison. I believe it's their second year in the FBS, and they are a good team. Even I mean this year I think is impressive because you don't have um Kirk Signetti, he went to Indiana. Now they're in Indiana's in the playoff. But interesting matchup here. Um, but I got to go Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky gets the win in this one. And then you got Cal and UNLV. Now this is interesting because, like I said, Barry Odom, he's taking the job at Purdue. And real quick, let me look. I'm gonna make sure Barry Odom, if he's gonna go straight to Um, if we'll go straight to okay. So rumors are right now he may not be coaching. Okay. So Barry Odom most likely will not be coaching in the LA Bowl. So very interesting here. Um, I think that this is a game where UNLV's got enough. Like it depends on who plays in this game. But if some of their star players decide to play, especially their quarterback, I think UNLV has a really good chance. But right now, just because of uncertainty, I'm going to go Cal just because I don't know what UNLV is going to look like. All right. The R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Georgia Southern and Sam Houston State. You got 50-50 here because it's a very even matchup. I think it was Georgia Southern that took Boise State down to the wire in the beginning of the season. Same Houston State, of course. I think this is like their either first or second year in the Conference USA. Incredible stuff, being 9-3. Personally speaking, I'm going to go Georgia Southern here. I just feel like I feel like they'll win the game. And again, some of these teams, you may not know how they did throughout the season. It's going to be more about gut feeling because a lot of times when picking these games, there's going to be a bunch of players sitting out. And so it just comes off as who do you have with your gut? Now, a team that I feel good about making this selection. I'm going Jacksonville State. Now, I know Ohio's got that 10-3 record, but Jacksonville State, I got to be honest, they have shown with Rich Rod as their head coach, they are a really good football program right now. This is only, I think, year 2 in the FBS, and they are legit. They are a really good football team. They're a team that you do not want to face if you're playing in the Staff DNA Cured Bowl. So I'll take Jacksonville State. All right. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. You got Tulane, you got Florida. I got to take Florida. And the reason why I take Florida here is because of this. Florida, if you watch the last half of the season, they looked like a team who could legitimately compete for a championship. Next year, Florida is a team you do not want to play, I don't think. You got DJ Lagway coming back. I think Billy Napier's done a great job at Florida. Their offense and their defense is going to be scary good. And Billy Napier, the way he's recruited down there in Florida, they are going to be a really good team next year. So watch out for that. In Florida, I feel like they'll come out. They'll be swinging in that game. Tulane, I don't think they have enough. Give me Florida. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I already gave you my picks for the playoffs, so I'm not going to pick these games because, like I said, I already picked those for you. So We've got 4 more games to get to. You got the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina, and UTSA. Um, I gotta take Coastal Carolina because this is, I mean, let's be honest, this is a home game for Coastal Carolina. Their fans are gonna show up and show out. Give me Coastal Carolina in this game. And then you got famous Idaho Potato Bowl. You got Northern Illinois against Fresno State. Um, Northern Illinois, as you know, they went on the road, beat Notre Dame, and for that, that's a good win. And the Fresno State, of course, 6-6 this season. Personally speaking, though, I do have the Huskies. I think they'll win this football game. All right, 2 more games to pick. You got South Florida against San Jose State. Now, if you remember, me personally, I was at that Alabama USF game earlier this season. USF gave Alabama a game. That the final score doesn't really indicate how that game truly was. And I think San Jose State, very interesting. Ken Niumatalolo, if you remember who he was head coach of Navy. He's done a great job at San Jose State. But personally speaking, I got to go South Florida. I think they're just going to be too much. And then finally, our last game to pick, Pitt and Toledo. This is a very interesting game, but I got to go Pitt. I just think they're way too much for Toledo. And so I just got to give Pitt the edge. So those are the first 12 picks that I have for this college football playoff. As I'll bring my camera back on. So my next stream I will go and I'll begin to pick starting at Rutgers and Kansas State. And as you can see, we're not picking any of the playoff games at all right now. We're not picking the playoff games. We're just strictly picking bowl games. I already gave you my playoff prediction. So with that being said, we've already got the playoff set for my predictions. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. Comment below what you thought about the video. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we are trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you are watching this and you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. We're planning on doing a special 100 subscriber stream of some sort. I'm still working on that. But for now, we are so very excited. But and also if you're on Rumble, follow us. And if you're on Patreon, then follow us as well. So folks, thanks for watching and we'll see you later. Goodbye, everybody.